Hi everybody, I'm Mikko, a transgender woman living in Australia who's a bit alternative and a lot nerdy. This is my experience as a transgender person in Australia in 2024 and sort of my journey up until now. Just a little disclaimer though, all the information in this video is current as of the end of December 2024. If you're watching this from the future, maybe double check that things are still correct as we never know what's going to change. I first realised that I might be trans around August 2023. After my girlfriend noticed that my YouTube recommended page started having more and more trans related content, I opened up to her about how I was feeling around my gender identity. She then urged me to go and talk to a therapist in order to work out what these feelings I was having meant. Luckily, my employer has an employee assistance program in place. I reached out through this EAP to access some therapy sessions which would be paid for by my employer. One of the benefits of an EAP is that it's completely confidential, so your employer will never know who is using the service. All your employer knows is how many people are using it and they have to pay the bill. So if you have access to an EAP, I strongly suggest that you use it to your advantage. It was a super easy process to follow too. They asked me some questions regarding what services that I required and the nature of the issues that I was facing. I then had an appointment. I received a number of sessions initially through the EAP, all paid for. Once you have used them up, the counsellor can ask for more sessions if they think that you would benefit from them. All your employer needs to do is approve them. Through talking to the counsellor, I came to the conclusion that I am, in fact, a transgender woman. I did for a time think that I might have been gender fluid, but I definitely landed on binary female. I think that feeling of uncertainty might have been the apprehension of letting go of the male upbringing that I had known for my whole life. The next thing to do is contact my doctor. I booked an appointment with my GP and asked him about transgender healthcare, and in particular about starting HRT or hormone replacement therapy. He then proceeded to tell me that he wasn't able to help me and that I would have to contact a specialised clinic and showed me a website to visit for more information. Needless to say, I walked away from this appointment disappointed and disheartened. I tried reaching out to this clinic and had no luck getting through. I left a message to which they never replied. At this time, I was feeling a bit flat, considering I wasn't making any progress. The next time I went to see my counsellor, I told her about this situation, to which she was shocked. She said that it didn't sound right that my GP wasn't able to help and referred me to another GP that she had heard was open to seeing trans patients. Just a side note though, I don't personally think that my GP was being malicious in his inability to help me. I genuinely believe that it was a lack of knowledge and understanding of the systems that he has to work with. Without hesitation, I picked up the phone to make an appointment. This new doctor was in high demand it seemed, as she had no openings for a month, but I was willing to wait to see this doctor who could potentially help me along in my transgender journey. Once it finally came to the day of the appointment, I was nervous to say the least. I went to the appointment and explained my situation to the doctor. That I was transgender and needed access to HRT. This doctor was nothing but polite, willing to help, and made me feel super comfortable. She asked me about how long I had been feeling this way, all the background information type questions. And when I told her that I was already receiving counselling, she immediately seemed more comfortable with helping me. I think this definitely helped her identify that I wasn't there on a whim and that I had been feeling this way for a while at least. She explained to me that we use the informed consent model here and that she was able to prescribe me HRT. But first I had to do some blood tests in order to gauge where my hormone levels were sitting, as well as general health related information like sugar levels, cholesterol, and the like. I would then have to wait 2 weeks from my initial appointment until my next one, which the doctor said would give enough time for my results to come back, and most importantly, make sure I was completely sure I wanted to go down this path. I went back for my second appointment after 2 weeks. All my tests came back fine. My testosterone and estrogen levels were in the normal range for a cisgender male, and all the other results came back fine. The doctor was happy with the results, and after sharing some information about how informed consent works, the potential side effects of HRT, dosages, and any other relevant information, I had my HRT prescription in hand. I rushed to the nearest pharmacy to fill my new script and kick off my HRT journey. I was over the moon, to say the least. It was like I could breathe for the first time in so long. My first day of taking HRT was the 7th of November, 2023. I have had quite a few follow-up appointments since then to test levels, increase dosages, and general checkups. I progressively worked my way up to the dosage that I'm on now, and my levels have been in the cisgender female ranges for a while now. I'm not going to divulge what dosages I'm on, as everyone is different, and I don't want anyone to compare and gauge their dosages with mine. Also, always follow your doctor's directions when it comes to medication dosages. It can be tempting to try and take more HRT than what's prescribed to try and hurry the effects up, but it can actually work against you. Allegedly, if you take too much estrogen, the excess can get turned into testosterone in your body. When it comes to changing your name, at least legally, I believe it differs between states in Australia. I was born in and currently live in Western Australia, so I had to apply to change my legal name through the Registry of Births, Deaths and Marriages, Western Australia. There was a form that I had to fill out that had a section to explain why you were changing your name. I simply wrote that I am transgender and that my birth name does not reflect who I am anymore. There's a list of documents that you need to provide on the form, including sending your original birth certificate to them, as after changing your name, your original birth certificate won't display your correct legal name anymore. There's also the option to have a new birth certificate and change of name certificate sent to you for a fee. At the moment of recording, the application itself costs $190. A new birth certificate costs $55, and a change of name certificate costs $55 as well. I would recommend applying for both new certificates if you're financially able to, as I have used both in updating my name with businesses and organisations which require proof of a name change. And don't forget to change your name with all the important places, especially Medicare, your health insurance, superannuation, banks, phone bills, all of it. Some places even require you to change your name with other places before you can change your name with them. My employer was one, for example. They let me know that if I didn't change my name with my superannuation first, they could potentially refuse to receive contributions from my employer due to the name being different. And now we are at changing your legal gender. In Western Australia, we have what is called the Gender Reassignment Board. The Gender Reassignment Board consists of a panel of people who essentially decide if you are trans enough to be granted a gender recognition certificate. Luckily, the Western Australian government is in the process of abolishing this board and implementing a more administrative process. This is via the Births, Deaths and Marriages Registration Amendment Sex or Gender Changes Bill 2024. However, this new process isn't due to come into effect until March or April 2025, so stay tuned for that. This is one of the reasons why I personally haven't updated my legal gender yet. The current process requires you to get letters from multiple sources saying that you are who you are, that you have received the proper medical treatment and counselling. Then the board can just turn around and say no, so that's fun. Also, under the current process, there is an application fee of $40. The cost under the new process hasn't been disclosed yet, so I'm unable to give you that information. Also, after receiving a gender recognition certificate, you then have to apply for a new birth certificate again, which will display your correct gender. Personally, I'm waiting for the new process to come into effect. So, voice training. I understand that not all trans people want to change their voice, and that's perfectly fine. So this part is for those of us who do want to train our voices. We all know it's hard. No one wants to do it. But I'm here to tell you that if feminizing your voice is something that you want to do, then do it. I procrastinated with it for far too long, and now I'm a year into HRT and I'm only just getting into the swing of it. One of my aims with making videos is to document my progress with voice training and to try and push me to keep going with it. That way I can look back in 6 months, a year, 2 years, and see how far I've progressed. It may seem like you're not getting anywhere, but push through and you will see results. Now, I tried using online tutorials, but I just couldn't keep with it. Either I just wasn't getting what the tutorials were trying to get across, or I was just missing that human connection of actually talking to someone about it. So I tried an in-person speech therapist. My GP put me on a care plan, which means that I was able to access 5 sessions for the calendar year, which are subsidised by Medicare. The initial appointment with the speech therapist was about $70, but after that, each session was only around $35. The exercises that my speech therapist has given me to practice really seem to be helping me achieve a more feminine sounding voice. I have a long way to go yet, but I'm definitely optimistic that I can get my voice to a passable point. Coming out was probably the most stressful part of my transition, without a doubt. I came out to my girlfriend in August 2023. Other than her, I didn't come out to anyone else besides medical professionals until around June 2024. I was so anxious of how I would be perceived by the people in my life, and I was scared of how people would change how they treat me. I was scared of being rejected most of all. I see now that I had nothing to worry about. Everyone in my life has been supportive of my transition, and I do know that I am one of the lucky ones. There are so many people out there that are in situations where they would be in an unsupportive or unsafe environment if they were to come out. I feel for those that are in this position, and all I can say is stay strong. You will get there in the end. So, this was a general overview of my experience of being a transgender woman existing in Australia in 2024. I might expand on the topics I've talked about individually in more videos to come, so watch out for that. Thanks so much for watching this video. Have a wonderful day, and be kind to yourself.